Big day for Washington in the markets as we get ready for the swearing in of the next Fed chair, the other Kevin Warsh. But joining us now, the Kevin we have, White House National Economic Director Kevin Hassett. For a while, we talked about the Kevins.
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, yeah, Kevin and I have been friends for 30 years, so we're kind of used to it.
But Karens took on a bad term, and that was the analog of Karens on the other side were the Kevins, so you guys were the Kevins.
Yeah, somehow we escaped being Karens, I guess.
What does this mean? What type of era are we ushering in here?
I went back, and I know you guys did, and I read just his testimony at his confirmation hearing, and I just agreed with everything that he said.
You disagreed with everything?
I agreed with everything.
I just
agreed. The idea that the Fed has lost its way a little bit, that it's sort of lost track of its mission, it's doing DEI stuff and climate change and all that kind of stuff. And
yesterday.
And I think that he wants to restore Fed independence by returning to its roots. I was there at the Fed working when Alan Greenspan made sure that we were focused like a laser beam on monetary policy, on the dual mandate, and sort of shut up about everything else. And I think that Kevin's going to do a great job. He's going to really turn that institution around.
Life is funny, and the confluence of events that have come to pass for the last 6 months or 3 months. I'm not saying they give cover to Kevin for not cutting right away, but you could say that. Or no one's going to. The president wants one thing, and he made it very clear what he wanted from Chairman Powell, and that is lower interest rates. But if Kevin Warsh doesn't cut rates, or the Fed doesn't cut rates now, no one's going to say that he's doing the wrong thing, probably because of what's happening in Iran and with oil prices.
Well, I think that as an abstract principle, if inflation blips up because of a short-term oil shock, then that shouldn't affect long-run policy. The Fed should keep its eye on the horizon. But on the other hand, I think that the president feels like the Fed has lost its way, didn't become data dependent. Remember, gave a big cut right before the election to try to help Harris. And so I think that he trusts that Kevin will be data dependent.
But even Treasury Secretary Bessent said that this might not be the time where, and you saw the minutes from the last meeting, and some people on the Fed, it's not Kevin obviously, but some on the Fed said that even the easing language needs to be removed at this point, and that the next move most likely is a hike.
Well, I look forward to seeing how he manages it, but we respect the independence of the Fed, and right now we expect that it's independent again. And so maybe it's a good time for the NEC director to step back and stop thinking about every move on interest rates.
Let's talk about what's happening with interest rates independent of central banks at this point. I mean, if you're looking at the 30-year, the yield touched 5.2% this week. It's the highest since 2007, but it's not just here in the United States. If you look at UK gilts, the highest levels we've seen since '98, and the 30-year bond in Japan is at its highest level on record. There's something going on around the globe that might make it very difficult to cut rates.
Right. Well, there's an oil shock for sure. And when there's an oil shock, then there's a risk that it feeds through to core inflation and then expectations. And that's something that central banks around the world have to pay close attention to. But remember that the history of this thing is the reason why we always talk about core when we see the CPI release and not top line is that the best forecast of top line inflation in the future is core today. And the core has barely moved just a little bit.
But
like
PPI
the rounding, PP more.
Producer prices moved up more than anticipated, too. And that's a precursor of what may be to come. And by the way, we were at inflation that was above target before you even had the Iran war.
Yeah, but it was headed in the right direction by quite a bit. And so I think that the difference between the core we've seen in the CPI and target is a little bit high. And I think that it's right for markets to be anxious. Well, if this thing continues for a long time, then the oil shock is persistent, and then it will continue to cascade in the prices. But if President Trump's view is that we're very close to finding a resolution, and if that's true, one thing I'm seeing on the flip side is that the spot market for oil, people are actually kind of unwilling to buy oil at the spot market because it takes 2 months to get it to Australia, and by then the price might be down a lot. And so there are a lot of competing forces. But that's why we've got a person that we trust who's independent of the Fed now, who's going to look at all that data and I believe make the right choice.
So you don't think that we're past the inflection point where it seeps into core
No, I don't think we're at a point where it's going to see through the core.
What would be long enough for it
the issue is that it's not the only thing going on.
But
right?
Wages.
We just had the biggest capital spending month ever. We've got AI increasing productivity. We've got all these things pushing prices down.
Having trouble asking for raises because
the deregulation we talked about yesterday in the Oval. Like, I don't know if you guys were watching that, because it seemed like a relatively small event, but it's a really big deal that Biden had sort of said to every grocery store in the country that if their refrigerator breaks, they can't repair it. They have to put a new one in. And then we have all these grocery stores all around the country that had to close. And then we went in, we fixed it, with Lee Zeldin yesterday. And now we had the Piggly Wiggly guys in there celebrating what President Trump had done. But we have estimates that that's really going to help lower the price of groceries, because they're spending millions of dollars on refrigerators they didn't need. And so I think that if you look at all the dereg we're doing and everything else, then there's downward pressure on prices too. And so to focus only on energy prices, I think that's going to be the story of core, I think is a little short-sighted.
Do you think the Fed, that the certain people that were there 3 or 4 years ago remember what happened in terms of transitory and really are maybe fighting, the last battle, which we always do, because they're very willing to admit that maybe we're going to go into like a hyperinflationary spiral from what you think is,
I'll tell you what
it really is transitory this time. I mean, there's a lot more COVID spending that we didn't need to do, and there was a big green bill, and there was I love they named it that, the Inflation Reduction, and that's one of the classics.
The worst
that's
ever.
The classics of all time. It's almost like.
No, but you guys might remember that in the May after their big COVID stimulus bill, John Cochran and I wrote an article saying this is going to create runaway inflation because it's a classic boom in aggregate demand, and the Fed was in complete denial about that, even though that's Econ 101. You open up your macro textbook your freshman year, it's the first thing they show you. But the runaway spending causes inflation, and they said no, it's a supply disruption.
They might be very
susceptible. It's because they were partisan, Joe. They were being partisan. They wanted Joe to have his way.
They might think it's happening again, and rates aren't. There could be pressure to actually raise rates from that. What would Warsh say?
I think that Warsh will manage the situation well. I think it's hopefully Jay will step aside and we'll get another governor in there.
What's going to happen there?
Yeah, well, hopefully he and Kevin talk about it once Kevin's in there. I fully expect. We absolutely respect the independence of the Fed. We've just asked their own inspector general, not ours, to look into the building. How is that not respecting their independence? So hopefully he'll leave soon, and then Kevin will have complete and easy control of the Fed.
Kevin, which of all the Federal Reserve chairmen do you admire the most?
Oh, Alan Greenspan. It's in part because he's been a longtime friend. He played golf with him now and then. He's a pretty good putter. And he's just so wise. So wise. And again, the story I like to tell about it is that when I was a young guy, because most of my tax research is tax, I had a tax paper on the BTU and carbon tax while Al Gore was advocating a BTU tax. And it ended up getting published in a top peer-reviewed journal and everything, but Greenspan wouldn't let me publish it for more than a year. He said, we can't put this out until after Congress has decided what it's going to do on this policy, because it's not monetary policy. Right? That's where the Fed needs to be. And so then when it's like no longer hot news, then Kevin can put his paper out. But right now, if you look at it, we've got regional presidents criticizing President Trump's every move. No matter what it is. And that's just got to stop.
This guy Santelli, who always comes on and says,
yes. He's kind of a laid-back guy.
Where the rubber meets the road is in what the markets say is happening. We're seeing new highs consistently in the NASDAQ, the S&P, new high in the Dow yesterday. Could be AI, or it could be, I don't know, some things are going, in spite of tariffs, in spite of inflation, in spite of the war, but in spite of everything else, new highs. Is it set up for a fall? Is there a huge air pocket, or do we just not understand?
So let's compare it, because you and I started talking about this during the dot-com boom way back then. That's how old we are. But the difference between AI and the dot-com boom is that these AI companies are printing money. And the guys who hire them are seeing their profits skyrocket. So the earnings announcements have been positive surprises quarter after quarter. We've had a big supply side shock because of the big beautiful bill on the corporate corporate side, which is going to increase the value of corporates. But we also have a big supply side shock on the labor side because of the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. And so I don't think that I've ever seen like so much supply side gas for the engine as what we've got right now. And you know, President Trump says golden age, but you know, GDP now, I think it's going to settle in at 4 or 5% for the rest of the year because of all we're seeing in capital spending and productivity.
Rick Santelli, if you're going to quote him, though, does not think interest rates should be lowered.
No.
He's a bond market guy. Does not want to see interest rates lowered because he worries about inflation.
I don't think he's a vigilante either at this point.
No, but he's a budget hawk.
Oh, he's a budget hawk.
Yeah.
But he believes Scott Bessent that it's growth. Growth is going to get...
Well, and we also reduced the deficit a lot last year. We cut government spending. We reduced federal workers by about 350,000 federal workers, and that's a permanent reduction.
It's going to be 40, or is it 40? Did it cross trillion total debt? I think we're close.
Close. But cutting government spending by government workers, cutting government workers by that many is a permanent reduction in spending that is really hard.
No, you don't need to preach into the choir, preach your meat choir on the benefits of privatizing. Less government, more work. Thank you. You are the Energizer Bunny of putting a good spin on the president's policy.
It's not spin; it's the truth.
Okay.
Kevin,
no
thanks.
spinning. We haven't seen any spinning here.
Who had the no spin zone? I forget. That
this is Washington. No spin zone.
Yeah. It is kind of a round room. It's a good place.
Who had the no spin zone? That was O'Reilly, right? Do it live. All right.
Well, thanks, guys. Great to be here.